when we talk about finding your niche in tech, you should be able to find how computing or how technology is altering your field, is altering what you really, really, really want to do. So, for example, you're a teacher and all you know how to do is to teach. But because we are in the digital economy, you need to be able to sit down and think about how technology is changing the way teaching is done, how technology is changing education, how artificial intelligence, virtual reality, or mixed reality is changing the way education is being done across the world, and be able to pick up some skills along the line, or be able to learn new skills that you need, in that aspect. So I will be starting with my slides now. So the focus of today's, what I'll be doing in the next 20 minutes is that we'll be looking at how to find your niche in tech, how to identify what you want to really do in tech so that you won't be lost in the rat race, and you will not just be learning something because it's trending. Because yes, some things might be trending, but how do I manage what I'm already doing with what I want to do? How do I learn? How do I keep learning? I'm not supposed to just start learning everything that is in vogue. Is that what I'm supposed to do? And if I do not want to do that, how do I find my niche? How do I identify my space and be able to make impact in it? So I'd like you to go to the third slide. The question on the third slide says, "What is your niche?" Okay, so I'll be, yeah, thank you. So the next one, I'm reading from a quote I saw today by Tony Stone. Tony Stone says that your niche is the intersection between what you love doing, what you're really good at, and what people need and will pay for. So when we talk about finding your niche, we're talking about something like a job, a career, or an industry that sits somewhere in between what you love doing, because it's important you love doing what you're doing. So something happened to me in 2017. I resigned from this job I'm talking about because I didn't know that, like, after studying for 5 years in school and getting a job, the reality of my life then was that I was waking up early in the morning, going to work, and I was working on the computer, talking to some people, yes, doing business meetings. I was doing projects I was not really interested in, but I was working as a software quality analyst. And I resigned because I felt like, okay, so this is the reality of work. Like, this is what work is. I did not love what I was doing. I wanted to do something else. So I had to resign. I did like 2 years. I wanted to teach. I did like 2 years full-time teaching, and then I'm back into tech. But that journey was important for me because it was a journey of self-discovery. I knew I love to do some things more than some other things. So I needed to, okay, step backwards, look at life in a different way, and make some decisions. But now I'm back in tech, and I think I'm finding my niche gradually. So your niche is what you love doing, what you're really good at. That means you have the skill. What people need, that means people need that skill and they want to pay for it because you need to be able to pay the bills. So how do you locate yourself in the center of a business or a career or a job that has these parts, and all these parts come together? Okay, so I also put it like this, that your niche is your personal brand, what problem you are known to solve really well, or an industry you want to solve problems in. So most times when I, talk to my friends in the industry, everybody knows, oh, I'm a software tester. Everybody knows that when we talk about maybe some things around requirement gathering, project implement, requirements engineering, drawing of wireframes, manual and automated testing. Okay, they know that, okay, Grace is into this. So it's something that I've been consistent with for a while. So it's what I'm known for when it comes to the field of tech, and I have skills related to that, and people want to pay for it. So that is what your niche is. It's your personal brand. It's a problem you are known to solve really well, and or an industry you want to solve problems in. Yes. Okay. So the next slide. Okay. So what do I do? What do I do? How do I find my niche? So the next slide, how do you find your niche? Okay, so number one, I feel that everyone needs to ask himself or herself this question, whether you are in tech or not. So there are four categories of question I put together when I was reflecting on this, and it really was interesting that I could find peace to represent those words. So they're like four P's, and that you need to really sit down, think about, and before you can find your niche and maybe stick to it. Number one is you need to understand what your purpose is. What do you really want to do? What is the most important thing you want to spend your life doing? Like I said, I had left school, I had been working for 3 years, and then I felt like I did not want to sit down with the computer all my life. I didn't want to spend 5 days in a week working on the computer and then having the weekend to rest, and then on Sunday, doing some other stuff that would just quickly be over, and then go back to work again on Monday. I felt I really wanted to do more with my life. And it defined, I had to make some decision at that point. So for every one of us, it's important we look at the big picture. What do I really want to do with my life? What do I want to do with my time? What do I find joy doing? What would I love doing on the long run? What would I love to be doing when I'm 50 years old? So I think we need to define that and set clear goals regarding what we want to really do with our lives. And then when you have decided on that, or when you're able to identify that, the next thing is you need to ask the question of passion. Okay, what am I passionate about? What problems call my attention? What category of people do I want to spend my time solving problems for? What are the problems I'm seeing that I want to solve? And that technology, if you're interested in tech, and that technology would be useful in solving. So you decide on that, and then you want to write it down. Then the third thing is your preference. Okay, so when you talk about preferences now, would you rather do business in tech, or you want to be the one that is being told what to do? So, for example, if you're a software developer in a company, I would say that 80% of the time you are going to be told what to do. You're going to be getting instructions from maybe the product owner, the business owner, or the client that needs the solution you are building. So you can't just sit down and build something you want to build. No. But if you want to be like you want to own a startup, you want to solve a problem, you want to create a product, then you need to start thinking about, okay, this is what I want to do. These are the problems I want to solve. For example, there was a time we were thinking about, okay, there's a problem in security. How do we create an application that could help with distress calls and all that? So you may want to start thinking in that line if you want to be a business owner or you want to own a startup. Okay, so maybe you want to be a person that coordinates a team, and you can be a project manager in tech. You want to be the one looking out for resources. You want to be the one relating with the clients regarding timelines. You want to be the one. So you need to look at your preference. Would you rather go out all day meeting with clients, or you would rather sit down, the whole day writing code on the computer? Or you want to still be within the organization, but moving from one meeting to another? You could, there's a role called Scrum Master. So those are different roles in tech. So you want to think about your preference. For me, sitting down before the computer all day did not cut it, and that's why I had to, step back and make some decisions. So you don't just sit down and say, okay, I'm looking for my niche, and then it's not like anything goes, but you want to look out for your preferences. So you need to ask yourself these questions. Do you really, really hate being told what to do? So that means on the long run, you would like to do business, start the business, employ others. It's not bad to employ others, and it's not a wrong thing to have a job. You can work under someone and find fulfillment in it. I have a couple of friends doing that. So it's not about being selfish this time around. You need to be realistic with yourself and know your capabilities, know what you really want to do. So talking about that's a question of preference, your preferences, know what on the long run what you would love doing. Some of us, you just want to be speaking about tech from one event to another, or you want to be teaching tech in school, or you want to be teaching kids how to code, you want to be teaching kids how to build robotics or something interesting. Those are well defined career paths that are viable, and they are not, you can't just throw them away because they are not maybe popular or something, or because they are not writing code and building fantastic apps, but you must think about your preference so that you can place yourself in a certain space where you are both comfortable and you are not comfortable with mediocrity, but you are comfortable in that it's your space. It's something you love to do, and you're solving problems that really matter to you. So then the last question is a question of proficiency. When you have determined what your purpose is, what your passion is, what your preferences are, then you now come back and look at your proficiency, talking about the skill sets you need to have. So that is when you need to now start picking up skills that are in line with these things you have written down before. For example, okay, let me say, for example, let me use myself as an example. I love to teach kids. I love to teach. I love to explain something to someone who doesn't understand. And I love the fact that I love it when I explain something and someone understands it. It's interesting. And then I love it when you're trying to get it and then I'm trying to make you think about it and eventually you get it. So I love it. So I love to work with children. I love to work with teenagers. So at this time in my life, I'm trying to like learn skills that have to do with STEM in education. Okay, so even though I'm a software quality analyst today, I'm building myself towards being a STEM educator or having facilities or having a space where children can be more creative. That is what I want to do. That is like when I'm 60 years old, that is what I want to see myself doing. So that is my preference. It is what I'm passionate about. Then it is something that for me, I have a sense of purpose in it. I find fulfillment in it. So what do I need to learn? Oh, okay. I need to probably learn some things around pedagogy, coding for children, languages that children can learn easily, how to teach children coding. I need to learn some things maybe around maybe virtual or augmented reality, how to teleport students to environments where they'll be more creative, how to apply some of this technology to education. Those are the things I'm trying to learn at this stage of my life. So I'm just trying to use myself as an example. So even though I did not start that way, but I had to sit down at some point and ask myself these questions. And then I start picking up skills that I will need for that particular field. So even though I'm just doing that now, but it is something that a young person in the university as an undergraduate student or that is just leaving school should sit down and think about. But sometimes the opportunities you need may not come in that space, but we'll get to see what to do as we proceed. So you need to ask the question of purpose, passion, your preference, and then begin to now look at the skills you need. Professor Afif has done a justice to that, talking about skills you need in certain career paths. So having identified, okay, this is what I want to do, this is what I'll find fulfillment doing, these are the problems I want to solve. I'd rather be a business owner, I don't want to be an employee. Okay, I want to be an employee, I want to be part of a great vision. Now, after deciding on that, then you now think about the skills you need. If you are going into business, you're not just going to learn about technology, you must learn about business, about management, and all the other things you need to learn. So that is how the questions you need to ask yourself when you're trying to find your niche in tech. Next slide. Okay, so I put down this and said, okay, let's have a game plan. So for example, you want to now sit down and have a plan. So number one says, sorry. Okay, number one, I said start from maximizing the opportunities you have to learn, to volunteer, or work. So like I said, the opportunity I first got was not particularly in the field of education. It doesn't involve going out and and all that. But I started with it and it's been wonderful. It's been wonderful. It has paid my bills for so many years. And I really, really love it when I catch bugs and I tell developers, oh, this thing is not working. And the developer says, oh, and then I explain, okay, this is how I caught the bug and all that. Like it's becoming more interesting. So I started from that space and I still really want to do a lot with it. But I would say that for you, if you are trying to find your niche, it's not like you turn down every opportunity. At the same time, you don't pick up every opportunity, but you must pick opportunities that are relevant and don't just look at some opportunities and throw it away. Maximize the opportunities you have now to learn, opportunities to volunteer, opportunities to work in a tech environment. Maximize those opportunities, and it's a good starting point. Then, secondly, I said you should sit down and reflect on those four things we mentioned and take stock of your skill sets. Okay, these are the skills I have, and these are the skills I lack. Take stock. Then, number three, I said find out someone doing what you really want to do. So there's somebody doing what you want to do already. So you need to think about who is that person doing what I want to do already. And if it's possible, you hook up with that person and have a conversation about the person's career so that you can learn about how to build that kind of niche for yourself too. So you have seen someone who is into robotics. He's not just doing robotics. Is in the robotics in the manufacturing industry, and it just cuts across like that, and is somewhere in between mechanical engineering and robotics and computing or artificial intelligence. You want to ask that kind of person, okay, I love computers, I love cars. I want to build a career that cuts across both fields. What do I do? Oh, okay, you can go into automotive engineering. You can go into, so you need to find someone doing what you're doing if it's possible. Make the person sit down or look at what the person is doing and the skills the person has, where the institutions, the trainings, the certifications that the person has gathered over time, and then begin to take note of that. The number four, okay, I said you should have a conversation with the person, and then or look at the person's curriculum or resume. LinkedIn allows you to do that very well. Then number five, learn the skills you need to get that dream job. So even though where you're starting from is not where you really want to be there, but because you have identified what your goal is, what your long-term goal is, you can begin to gather momentum, begin to learn the skills that are relevant, begin to take things, to learn things to learn something really well. Sometimes it's not 3 months, it's not 6 months. Sometimes it really, really takes time. And then if you have someone who has gone ahead of you that you can talk to, it shortens that journey for you. And that's why I said you should look for somebody in that particular niche you have identified who can help you learn the skills you need for that business or for that enterprise or for that job that you really, really want to, that you have decided on as okay, this is my niche. This is what I want to do. This is a place of my preference, passion, purpose, and I want to build proficiency in it. Okay. And then number six, I said you should reach out, apply for that job. So sometimes I apply for jobs that I'm interested in. So sometimes I find out that out of 50%, out of 100% of what I should know, I know 50% already. It makes me know that, okay, I still need to learn this and that um, to become that candidate that will be taken up for that role. So you should not just sit down and try to learn everything because you have a list. You meant you are making progress as you are learning. Reach out and apply for some of those jobs and opportunities. Reach out and apply for a grant if you are building a product. Reach out and do something that really, really will count at the end of the day. So this is supposed to be like a game plan, what you're supposed to do after you have identified your preference, your passion, your purpose, and you have decided on the proficiencies you want to, learn as you proceed. Next slide, please. Okay, if you have any questions, you can put them down, because I'll be running up in a bit. So, what are some of the options you have? So, finding a niche in tech, like I've said, cuts across. Next slide, please. Cuts across many fields, cuts across, and there are so many roles and industries where technology is important. For example, talking about niche industries. So when you talk about niche, like I said, there are industries and there are jobs or there are skills. So for industry, for example, I've spoken about education. And then even in the industry, we have the telecommunication, we have health, we have financial services. You may want to work in a fintech company and talk about the problems of financial inclusion, how to take banking services to the unbanked, how to minimize how much people spend on how much time people spend in building and doing transfers or doing financial transactions, how to do seamless payments. Maybe something you're passionate about. Then you want to look at the fintech industry. You're passionate about children. You want to look at education or health. You have the Internet of Things. You're passionate about technology, smart systems are built, how smart cities are going to be built. You want to see everything working together as one in one unit using technology. It's an industry and you can pitch your tent there. There's advertising. You want to learn about how social media is helping businesses or how to build systems that would automate marketing on social media. It's maybe something you are passionate about. So there are no limitations. So what I want to do is encourage you to dream and really, really be realistic, like I said. So as you're thinking about what your need should be thinking about an area of need, be thinking about the sustainable development goals, be thinking about problems that are rocking the world right now, be thinking about problems such as green technology. We have the problem of global warming. We have issues around, okay, now let's try to make use of solar panel, solar energy, let's try to build electrical cars. Those are discussions that are ongoing. It may be something you are passionate about. So if it's an industry you want to really pitch your tent in, then you need to, okay, you have found your passion, you found your purpose, you have your preferences, and then you now start asking, okay, where do I go to? Which skill do I learn? Which institution do I need to attend? Who do I need to speak to? Where do I need to intern? In order to get this opportunity to learn about this industry that I want to build a niche in. We have the blockchain industry. There's so much noise going on about Bitcoin, cryptocurrency, and so many other things. Those are niche industries, and people are finding space in it. So there is still enough room for everyone who wants to, go into some of those businesses. So talking about skills, like we have the analytics, we have augmented and virtual reality. Like I've been hearing about AR and VR. I didn't know that there were developers that were just building AR and VR apps. I didn't know that. But as I because I was interested, as I googled, as I read, as I looked for opportunities, I began to understand more about the industry where I want to build my niche in. Cloud computing is there. We have product management. Product management is a wonderful field, and people are making waves in it. DevOps engineer, fantastic field. They are software engineers as well, but they are suited towards some other parts of software engineering, where deployment and some other things happen. So experience design, fantastic. I know UX and UI designers are well paid, and I know they are scarce. I know it's hard to find a very wonderful one. So if you have graphic skills, you love to design, you love colors, you want to build products that matter, you want to build experiences for customers that are wow and then simple at the same time, then you may consider user experience design. So these are niche fields and skills that I just these are just examples. Like there are so many out there. So if you are in you probably wanted to study medicine and then you didn't have the opportunity, but today you have an idea about how technology can solve medical problems, then you can take advantage of technology. You can build a niche in that business. You can build a niche for yourself, find a job in that field, and just grow in it. Next slide, please. Yeah. So that is all I want to say. So how do I find my niche? Number one, I said you need to say your niche is your personal brand. Your niche is a space or an industry where you want to solve problems in, or a job that you love doing, a career you love to do, that's aligns with your passion, that aligns with your long-term goals, and you're trying to build skills in it. Or maybe you have gathered the skills and you want to pitch your tent in that space. You want to really, really make a difference in that space. And then having identified that space, you also know that there's a need in it and people are willing to pay for someone who would solve that problem. Then having done that, you have a game plan. You have a game plan to write down those things you have spoken about, reach out to someone, look out for opportunities to learn, reach out and apply for those jobs that you're interested in as you're learning. Or if you want to start a business, talk to somebody in that space and do something about it. So find your niche, find your space. Don't I started telling myself that I would not, even though before we used to say that it is not good to be a jack of all trade and master of none. But then in the space of technology, realize that you need to learn many skills, you need to know many things, and you need to be able to wear so many hats at the same time, especially if you're in this part of the world. But then at the same time, as you grow, if you really want to grow in your career path, you realize that just like professor started with, in primary school, he learned so many things. In secondary school, he learned so many things. But when he got to the university, he started reducing what he was learning, but then he was going deeper. So the width of what he was learning, the content, the the how varying it is was reducing. So it was focusing on one thing, and it was building depth in it. So it's important that even though you are learning so many things in tech, try to build depth in one thing and that is your niche. That is something that when you are called to solve a problem in that space, we know that you know almost all there is to know about that space. So it may not be by getting academic certifications. It may not even be by, by building, but just whatever it takes, whether it is going to school, whether it's learning as an artisan in a vocational school, whether it's serving as a mentee under a mentor, whatever it takes to build proficiency in one thing that matters, in that space where you have found as your niche and that you really, really want to make great impact in, long term. Find it, do something about it, learn the skills that matter, and reach out for the opportunities in that space. So I would like to say thank you very much for allowing me to share with you. Thank you